Here we are, last episode of this series for Nerding Out with Jake. This is episode 6 of adding dirt and fine details to the Finnish T-34 85. Let's get going. Here's a brief overview of the stuff I'll be using. These are nice acrylic little features I'll be adding on the tank. We'll get to those a little bit later on, but a little map of where I'm going to go with this one. Alright, first things first, I want to create the look that there is some accumulated debris on the tank, grass, sticks, and stuff like that. So I'll get a dead or seagrass ball from AK Interactive, put it on there, and just take some tweezers, reposition everything, just to put it in little hard to reach areas, and then fix it all in there with gravel and sand fixer. You really don't have to go overboard and add a lot of the stuff. If you look at any reference photos online about different tanks, they a lot of times will accumulate some sort of sticks and debris on the flatter surfaces, and then I go about adding more to this effect by taking some Scenic factory forest floor elements and adding them on top of my grass. So just kind of go in there and just add some more of the tweezers and come back and reapply the sand and gravel fixer by AK and just let it dry. The interesting part about the sand and gravel fixer is that it actually will melt the paint. So take your time with it. Let it fully cure to the paint and don't touch it until it's completely dry. Once it's dry, I go with Wilder's Dark Russian Earth, mix that on my palette, add a bit of water, and come back and do a lighter color, a lighter mud color, and I'll mix that with water on my palette as well. And then we're going to start blending these different colors in with the debris effects I've got going around the fenders of the tank. Again, if you ever look at any reference photos of tanks in World War II, any war really, you'll see a lot of the tanks have debris and all these little areas that it would accumulate because they don't ever really get clean. So make a conscious effort of putting it in place that makes sense. In this case, it'd be under the fuel tanks, along the crease of the tank on the fenders, and just go from there. Make sure not to overdo it. And you'll see here in a little bit that I actually will go back and redo the effect because I wasn't quite happy with it. I wasn't happy with how chunky it looked, so I thought, well, I should go back in and maybe redo it. But first I'll blend it. I wasn't too happy with it, but I thought I'll blend it first, see how I feel. So I try to resurrect this little element here and blend the lighter colored dusts in there. I go on the wheels and also up on the fenders, and I think the wheels look fine, but I wasn't completely happy with it. So in order to remove the effect, the fixer, I took some enamel thinner and worked it off, and took some tweezers and also took any of the excess off there I didn't want. It's pretty easy to do, but I took my time with it. I didn't want to melt too much of the paint, and I just wanted to build up the effect again. There, much better. Now it's time for my favorite product out there. It's the Wilder Aqualine Light Mud in the Dark Mud. It's great. It's water-based. It can be blended with water, and it can be reactivated even weeks later after the application of it with a brush and some water. And if you need to remove it, take the water, wipe it off. If you need to blend it, take a slightly dampened brush or an overall dry brush and blend it that way too. And the best part about this stuff is that it smells like vanilla. And being a person who's got migraines, I don't really get them triggered by smells much, but sometimes being in my hobby room for an extended period of time with enamel thinner or the other stuff like that, it does get a bit much for my head to bear, and have that nice vanilla scent is kind of refreshing. So in this case, I just go around the tank, especially the hatches and on the edges, create some streaking effects as if I was using an oil product or an enamel product. Just go down, take my time, come back in with a damp brush and start shaping the effects. And go from there. Let it dry completely after that point, and then come back in with a dry brush and really blend the effect. Again, this stuff's acrylic based, so if you're not happy with it, take a wet brush, wipe it off, and reapply. It's just like working with oil paint. Here I'm taking that larger dry brush and really just working that in there and blending the different streaks, and I repeat it several times if I need to. Just really build up the effect, build the layers up, and have some fun with it. Even take some different colors, which you'll see me do later on. I use more of the lighter color here, and I use the darker color more on the hull. So just go with it, and if you have to, blend more, reapply more, blend more, reapply more, rinse, repeat, and just build up the effect. And as I say here in the caption, the same process is repeated on the hull. I take my time with it, and I can always remove more if I have to. And here's what it looks like after I'm done doing that part. And here I take the wilder black smoke, apply it near the exhaust, and create that nice soot effect too, which you'll see later on. And now I'm going on to using AK Interactive products, engine grime and engine oil, and going about the spots where I know there would be a little bit more of the grease, especially around the rotor wheel bolts there, and also over by the exhaust and by the fuel tanks, and even where the grill there too. Using the different glossiness and also the flatness really creates different dynamic elements to the model, makes it a lot more interesting to look at, and it's a lot more enjoyable and realistic because these tanks are pretty grimy, they're greasy, and they got a lot of different effects going on them in real life. And that's all for this series. Thanks so much for watching all 6 episodes if you did. I'm always open for feedback. If you have anything you want me to see or work on and see me do in the future, please let me know in the comments below. Feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. Big thanks to Rick and the Michigan Toy Soldier crew and my fellow trench runners, Julian and JP and Matt. And I will talk to you guys later. See you guys maybe a couple weeks if I get another episode or series out, and I'll talk to you later. Have a great one, guys. See ya.